Hey everyone, it's time for my June wrap-up, and June was a rather great month for me. We had a lot of discussions on my channel. We talked a lot about traveling. We talked a lot about unique books, favorite couples, rereading or reading the TBR pile. We talked about work personas and private personas, and I really enjoyed your input there. How you shared your own experiences, how you shared your thoughts, and how you made me feel a little bit less awkward for having all these weird feelings when sometimes it's just nice to know that you're not the only one who's doing that. And I really thank you very much for that, especially for all the recommendations you gave me for more unique books. So if you knew all the ones I mentioned, check the comments there. There's heaps of them. Thank you very much. And also thank you for enjoying the letter to June despite the shaky footage from Barcelona. I'm sorry, I really didn't do any good filming there. But that wasn't the only thing that was really great in June. I also got a lot of reading done, mainly because I was on vacation, wasn't working so much, and I kind of prioritized reading a lot this month. So let's have a look at what I finished. I finished the Grand Tour, and it was the second book in the series where I really enjoyed the first book. Unfortunately, the second book fell a little bit flat for me. The appeal of the first book, the characters and the wittiness and the play between the letters that they write to each other was kind of missing and artificial. As they were traveling together, the couples found each other, so they were married, and so the purpose of the first book that made it interesting and fun was lacking in the second. Also, the mystery wasn't really that much of a mystery that captivated you. So yeah, I don't know. I have the third book in the series as well, so probably I'll read it sometime. The second book I read and reviewed was The Story of My Teeth, and unfortunately I didn't like this one either. This book felt too created for me, too crafted, too artificial, and it gave too much away. It explained itself too much, and I don't like if books need to do that. After that, I kind of started reading Gail Carriger. I started off with two short stories that I hadn't read before, Ferry Death and Marine Biology. Ferry Death was okay, it's kind of a fairy story, but Marine Biology I really enjoyed. It was about a werewolf and his finding his role in his pack, and he was still very young and very annoyed. He didn't really get along with everyone else, and mainly because he was insecure about himself and how to find his place in the pack, which is because he was gay and he had trouble dealing with that and telling it to the rest of the pack, especially his dad. And there was also, he's a biologist. They were living in today's world, so it's not the other world where Gail Carriger sets her stories, and I really enjoyed what she did there, and I'll hope we get to see more about the characters there. Maybe. After that, I started rereading the whole Parasol Protectorate series. You know, I've read them before, I love them. I love Alexia and Lord Macon, and I love the stories. And the more I reread it, the more I realize how many things she started and set into motion in earlier books that happen in later books, and I really, really enjoy that. And in June, she also published a novella, Poison or Protect, as part of a new series about the characters that she introduced in the Finishing School series. So some of the side characters. Poison or Protect is about Pressure, and it's 10 years after she finished school, and she's finished her indenture and just working when she wants to. And we learn more about Pressure, and what I really thought interesting is that I actually liked her. In the Finishing School, she's not a likable character, but you really feel with her there, and it kind of works, and I hadn't expected that. Another thing that I hadn't expected going into it, because you know me, I never check up on books, was the amount of sex. It is very clearly stated by Gail Carriger that this is adult romance, that it is erotica, that it has sex scenes, and it has adult topics. So I recommend, if you don't want to read that, just don't read this, because that's the main part of the book. And I kind of don't know how Gail Carriger does it, because normally I really don't care for erotica. But in her books, she makes it blend in with the rest of the characters and the stories that I actually don't mind. And I think that's really well done. And also, yeah, I like her. I don't know. She just weaseled her way into being one of my favorite authors. And that's actually all I've read, which is a lot. I do know that, and I'm quite happy. Oh, I also listened to an audiobook, almost forgot. I listened to A Little History of Philosophy by Nigel Warburton, and I really enjoyed it. It was very clear, it wasn't confusing. The chapters always dealt with one philosopher and his philosophy, and they connected to the next chapter, always with like how they reacted to the philosopher you just heard about. And I really liked how that was done. I also liked that it was really well understandable. The chapters weren't too long, it wasn't dragging on, it was clear to the point, it was well explained, and it helped you understand it without getting bored, without being over your head and everything. So if you're interested in philosophy, I can highly recommend this because it was a nice introduction, a nice overview. And that was my June. Like I said, I really had a great month. I hope you too. Tell me in comments how your June was. Thank you for watching and to a good July. Bye bye.